streak, and without their all-star Kyrie Irving. More opportunity for Jason Tatum and the Young Seas tonight on the road on a players-only TNT doubleheader night.
For me, it's not really about the loss, but the attitudes that we're playing with. You know, guys are, hanging their heads. It's not fun. It's not fun. We're not competing at a high level. Even though we're winning, it's just not fun. I don't see the joy in the game. I watch all these other teams down in the league, guys up on the bench, they're jumping on the court, they're doing all the stuff that this look like they're enjoying, their teammates' success, they're enjoying everything, and they're playing together, and they're playing to win. And when I look at us, I just see a bunch of individuals. No one's getting traded. Trade deadline's over. We compete for a championship, and that's how we got to approach these games. We're going to lose or draw, man. We're going to lose games, but we don't have no attitude. We don't have no toughness. We ain't having fun. It's going to be a long season.
Back-to-back blown leads, not fun. All-star on the shelf, not fun. Game time, fun.
Fun.
That's what we are. That's the Friar. David Griffin, the Czar, Mike Fratello right there. I'm Matt Weiner. Good to have you along with us. Setting up a TNT doubleheader tonight, which includes the season Sixers in Philadelphia, guys. Boston, of course, coming off back-to-back bummers against L.A. teams in which they blew leads of 18 and 28 points, respectively, in losses to the Lakers and the L.A. Clippers. Keep in mind, guys, that prior to this stretch, they'd won 10 of 11, so it's all not dire in Boston, right? Overall, this team is moving up. The arrow is pointing upward, not downward. But Kyrie Irving is out tonight because of the knee injury, likely out tomorrow night as they wrap up the pre-All-Star break schedule. Do these last two games now take on a little different complexion heading into the break?
Matt, you touched on something that is very unique to the NBA. Attitudes, emotions, and spirit within the team change quickly, very quickly. Yeah, winning 10 out of 11, what a great run. And then all of a sudden, you can walk into the locker room one day and they look different, the look on their face is different, the energy they give is different, and that team that was so cohesive during the 10 wins suddenly isn't the same team anymore. And you sit there and you try and figure it all out. And sometimes you say, is it combinations? Do I need to play different guys together? What's going on outside of basketball that's affected somebody? Some of the stuff you don't know because it could be agents calling during the afternoon and telling them whatever it might be. Before the trade deadline, it was, you might not be there in a couple days.
Sure.
But all of those things go into a team changing and that chemistry changing suddenly.
How fragile is it, that sort of momentum that they had?
Well, I think it's fragile just because quite often winning masks a lot of problems. And when you're dealing with things as an organization and everybody's trying to find their role, particularly young players who got to be very focal last year, taking them to the conference finals, being asked to take a step back when they haven't been in the league long enough to have any role really, any understanding of sort of their role beyond that, I think it's very complicated. But I always go back to the notion that it's never as bad as you think it is from the outside. It's never as good as you think it is when you're inside. They're up 43-20 against the Clippers the other night, and Kyrie's a plus 15 in 14 minutes before he leaves the game with the knee injury. We'd have a completely different feel if they polish off that game in the way they started it. We'd say, okay, they're fine. They had a little bump in the road, and they're still more the team that was 10-1 in 11 games. Now we're looking at them as, oh boy, they're probably more the sum of all the negative, and that's not true either.
Griff, let's go back and set the table in the playoffs last year. No Kyrie, no Gordon Hayward.
Right.
And this young group that you just mentioned winds up taking them to a great series against the Cavaliers before they get knocked out. Everybody was on a high. Expectations coming back this season was so great because you have two All-Stars returning to the lineup that weren't there for that run. But that changed the roles of the people that had gotten them to that great series against the Cavaliers. And suddenly, guys who were getting 28 to 32 minutes are getting 12 to 14 minutes. All of that goes into the makeup of the team. And that's why it hasn't been the same smooth ride, because people are learning different roles, different amount of minutes, a coaching staff, how to deal with different players, and put this all back together again.
This team came within a game of the NBA Finals last year. They're a deeper team now. Even though the record is maybe not what folks expected it to be at this point in the season, is this still as dangerous as any of the other teams in the East?
Oh, I think without question. And the other thing that's lost in all this discussion of their chemistry issues, Gordon Hayward's starting to find himself a little bit. He's been far and away their most productive and efficient player in their last 4 games. If that continues, they're going to feel awfully good about things coming out of the break. The one thing I know for sure is when your team is a little bit spiritually sullied, shall we say, the best thing that happens to you when you come out of the All-Star break is that you get to look at everything with fresh eyes. Guys are rejuvenated again, and I think that will be really important for Brad Stevens because to a huge degree, it's now incumbent upon him to find a way to make this work. They've never had the level of expectation they had coming into this season. So in addition to the fact that Tatum and Brown and Rozier played really focal roles, he got to have a magical mystery tour of a season last year. It's a little different when you come and you're supposed to win.
Right. Spiritually Sullied, by the way, is going to be the title of my memoir.
By the Friar.
Just because I like the phrasing of it. You know, at some point, the Sixers are going to have to start beating the teams in front of them in the Eastern Conference. At some point is the playoffs, by the way. But with the exception of the Pacers, that hasn't been the case so far. And going back a couple of seasons, Philly has now lost 12 of 15, including last season's playoff series against Boston. Opportunity tonight, again, no Kyrie Irving in the lineup and a different Philly team with Tobias Harris out there. Is it important in your mind to start winning these head-to-head games? Just, I don't know, I hate to play the psychological card, but that's where I'm going with this. Just so when you see them in the postseason, you know you can do it.
Look, the coach is going to play off it either way. If you don't wind up beating him at all, he's going to go in and say, we haven't beaten this team yet, and here we are in the playoffs against them. We can beat them, but these are the things we didn't do during the regular season that we have to do now. The other side of it is that you do beat them. You say, look, we can do this. We know that. Look what we did in this game. All the things we weren't able to do in the other 2 games against them, we did it in this one game. That's our formula for success.
Well, and the other thing that's kind of interesting about this relative to Boston and Philadelphia, Boston's actually been better against the top teams in the East than Philadelphia has by quite a bit. And that's when you take into account the rocky start. So if you're looking at Boston, you can choose to look at one of 2 different things. And if you're looking at Philly, you can choose to do the same thing. It's just that right now, Philadelphia is playing so incredibly well in those 2 games with Tobias Harris. Right. Everybody is completely blinded by the fact that, of course, they'll never lose again.
Yeah, 2 games now we've seen Tobias Harris in that lineup. What kind of an impact has he made so far?
Well, why don't we take a look at some of the things this young man does as a teammate now in Philadelphia. First thing is he has the ability to make his teammates better. Watch, he takes the ball to the middle of the floor. He looks over. He knows we have opportunity here to go to the right, but he looks that way but understands my big man's on the baseline underneath, so he drops it off for an easy score. He has the ability to take that handoff and attack off the dribble in the half-court set, and my goodness, that's McGee that got dunked on.
He can do that too.
Yeah, he can. He can rebound the ball, bring it down, and once again, you come over and give him a little drag screen, watch him turn the corner, and guess what? It's McGee again on him. So what's he going to do? Take him off the dribble, come up on the other side, and use the rim as a protector. Here, he's running for a layup, but he realizes the ball is going to the opposite corner. So he backs out behind the three-point line, all by himself, tees it up, and knocks down the 3. He does a lot of things. That was a great pickup, I felt, for Philadelphia.
He makes that look easy, the transition with a new team a couple of games in. How many players can do it that quickly?
Not very many, but he's also like a perfect complementary piece who also has high-level offensive skills.
Yeah.
Very often you have to be incredibly ball dominant to be an effective offensive player, and Tobias has always been able to play whatever role a team asks him to play. That's why he's such a safe acquisition when you're trying to really put the pedal to the metal, because Tobias is very accepting of whatever it takes to win basketball games. That's the #1 consideration for him. The thing that I think makes them special with Tobias has less even to do with the offensive side. When he's on the floor right now, defensively, they are enormous. And what's happened is very similar to what happened with DeMarcus Cousins in Golden State. Everybody else got excited and started playing harder. This version of Joel Embiid makes it almost impossible to get an entry pass into the paint.
Right. Third time around with Tobias Harris tonight on TNT as the Celtics will try to win for the third time against Philadelphia this season. On the way, the end of a long trip coincides with the All-Star break for LeBron and the Lakers, plus the league weighs in on their alleged tampering. That's all next.
With at least 20 points and 10 assists than this guy has. And he's only halfway through his rookie season, but perhaps there is no greater accomplishment than doing game night with us. None of those other guys were here as rookies, I'd like to point out. Trae Young of the Atlanta Hawks is in our studio. First and foremost, settle a debate. Which nickname do you like best? The Ice Trae? TL?
I mean, I leave that all up to the fans. For me, I like Ice Trae.
Yeah.
I've heard Trae TL too, so either one of those I like.
Perhaps we use Trae TL as the location and Ice Trae as the nickname.
Okay, I go with that.
That can feel fair. Where, though, is your confidence stemming from as a rookie? Because I think that's what's most impressive.
I mean, I think it all starts with just, how much hard work I put in. I think for any really good player, I think it starts with the work they put in. If you're not as prepared as, you need to be, I think that's when you lose confidence. And for me, I just put in so much work. That's where I get all my confidence from.
Trey, I wanted to talk to you, man. You know, in football, right, the quarterback position is the premier position. He runs the team. It's his locker room. He has to be able to command his guys. And for you as a rookie coming into the NBA, what have you found from a leadership standpoint in terms of starting to run the locker room, run the team, be the guy that everybody else is leaning on?
For me, I think it's I'm in a really good situation. Although we lost a guy with Jeremy Lin today, he's helped me so much as far as doing my best of commanding a locker room and earning the respect of my teammates and just doing the little things that win over your teammates and do things like that. So I've had great veterans and great OGs around me with Jeremy and Vince and those type of guys to help carry me in the right direction as far as a leadership standpoint.
You guys have also had great young players that came in with you, and John Collins, who was here 1 year before. What do you see happening now in that Atlanta locker room, and what are people going to be surprised by that you guys are capable of next year?
I think really just the growth from all of the rookies that came in this year, and you're already seeing it with John, the jump he's made from his rookie season to now. I think really just the growth from all the rookies and John, even the other younger guys. We have a very young team, as everybody knows. So just the growth that we continue in the show, and we want to compete for championships someday. And that's just, it's going to take time. And I always talk about patience, and it's going to take patience. But we're all going to work to get there.
All right, Trey, without giving, anybody in the Eastern Conference too much information, we don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. Let's go just take a walk. When you have the basketball in your hands, where on the floor, what are you seeing? You running screen roll in the middle. You like screen rolls on the wing. What are you reading? Are you reading your defender? Are you reading the big? What are you seeing on the weak side? Take the fans through being an NBA point guard and just navigating pick and roll situations.
As the five-time NBA champion Derek Fisher defends you.
No, for sure. Well, for me, I like the pick and roll the best. For me, I think one of my best attributes is my ability to pass and see the floor before things are settled. So if I'm coming off pick and rolls on the wing, I'm not really worried about my defender.
Yep.
I'm reading.
So let's say he jumps up into a no middle type of situation. Mm-hmm. So now he's trying to force you down this way.
He forced me down this way. So my job as a point guard is to read the other three defenders. Kristen is help side. So we have a guy rolling, and my defender's usually going over. Mm-hmm. So it's my job to find the open man, or if the big doesn't step up to guard me, I have a lane to the basket. So it's my job to get it to the open man as soon as possible, or make a play to score.
All right. See how he hesitated, by the way, calling me the big. You saw. So I have to recognize the big.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have went in there and scored. I don't know.
Big-ish.
So-
Fine, I got your help side.
But then, okay, so first of all, see how many things for people at home
Right.
that he's thinking about in these situations. So when you're watching the game at home, don't be trying to figure out why he made a mistake one time, because he's literally thinking about 25 things in this scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So now take us to how are you finding that balance now halfway through your first season with when I'm going to score and get my bucket, or I'm making sure I get off the ball right away in those situations?
Well, I think it's time and score, and that's something I've learned. I mean, with Coach Pierce, there's times in the games where, I mean, whether it's a guy who's hot, me being a point guard, I have to know that if a guy's hot and he's feeling it, you got to keep giving it to the hot hand. Or if the game is up and down, it's just knowing when to score and when to get your teammates involved. And that's something I've learned. And just by watching film and talking to people, I've had a lot of really good role models in my life. So I'm just learning those different types of things.
Yeah, that's great stuff, man. I mean, it's pick and roll is hard, and now, I mean, how many pick and rolls per game would you say you're in?
I'm in a lot of pick and rolls. I think that's something that I've always been really good at is pick and rolls. So I feel like I'm in a lot of pick and rolls.
So Trey, a confession here. I am one of the people that was concerned about your ability to play any kind of similar style to what you did in Oklahoma, because you were given such free reign with the ball that a lot of the shots you took, I thought, oh, well, he's not going to be able to get to those. And so all you did to counter that was become more of a driver and showing more of your passing ability. When did you make that recognition that that's how you could help your team best?
I think I've always had that type of ability. It's just doing what the defense was giving me at the time. And at Oklahoma, I mean, there was times when I felt like I was in range or I was able to shoot from long distance, and I felt like the defense was giving me that, so I was doing that. And now it's, I mean, maybe a little bit different than what it was in college. So it's just really just doing what the defense is giving me.
So when we show you those lists of statistics of all the great rookies, the names that you're listed now alongside, how do you respond? Is it something that you're paying attention to yet?
For me, it's you can't help but see it, and it humbles me. Just being on a list with those type of greats. I mean, it's a humbling list to be on. But for me, I want to be on more of those lists. I want to be on lists of point guards who won championships. I want to be considered an all-time great. So that's, for me, I see it, but for me, I just want to continue to get better and improve.
Do you pay attention to the other rookies and what they're doing then this season?
For sure. I mean, it's my class. I'm rooting for everybody in my class. I want to go down as one of the best classes to ever be. Dealt and drafted. So I'm happy for all the guys who are playing well. Luka's playing really well. DeAndre, Jaren Jackson Jr., all my guys. So I'm rooting for them.
You know who else used to do that? Magic Johnson and Larry Bird used to watch each other.
They are good at this
Coast to
game,
coast.
from what I feel like I've heard. All right, Trey, thank you so much for taking the time to join us in studio. If you have nothing going on, we're going to be here all night. He's like, I didn't sign up for any of that. All right.
Yeah, that's
Don't get some
Like,
rest.
I'm just going to go ahead and take off. But we're going to be back right after this. It is game night Monday night, and we are with you until tip-off in Texas between the Mavs and Rockets. Don't go away.